Welcome back to the Sovereign Ratio. Today we're going to take a look at one of the most promising gaming and metaverse tokens in the crypto space, Vulcan Forged, and its currency PYR. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and leave me a comment below. Alright, so first we're going to look at Vulcan Forged on CoinMarketCap and see where we are. Currently, we're sitting at a market cap of $86,500,000 with a fully diluted market cap of $159 million, which is relatively low, so there's a lot of opportunity here if it were to catch a bid and have some continued upside in the next bull run. As far as I can see, the circulating supply is 27 million PYR, which is 54% unlocked. Not particularly great. Tokenomics don't look particularly great, but we are going to see shortly what makes this token a little bit more promising than other projects as far as social media and what it has to offer on demonstration purposes. It's currently sitting at rank 254 on its market cap, and the available markets to purchase Vulcan Forged, we have Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, Uniswap, obviously, Bittrex, Gate.io, Huobi, BitGet, so there's plenty of places to get this particular asset, and the liquidity score does look good on all of those locations. I went ahead and pulled up the metaverse list of tokens on CoinMarketCap. You can see we start up here at rank 31 with Internet Computer. We got Stacks here, which was a little bit of a surprise to me. I was not aware that Stacks was part of the metaverse because it is such a strong project in Bitcoin. Maybe it's related to ordinals. I'll have to check into that. It's things like Sandbox, ApeCoin, Render Token, which we will probably cover later in another video. But scrolling down here, you can see that Vulcan Forge is currently pretty far down here at rank 255. We have some other projects around it, which I'm not as familiar with, like Chromia, Insure DeFi, Luxio, Wemix, which I've heard of. We have the next one that I'm really aware of is Illuvium here at rank 163, sitting at $139 million market cap. So about almost double the market cap of Vulcan Forged at this point for Illuvium, the next project that I personally have some information and some belief in. Before we get into looking at Vulcan Forge's website and some things that I've seen on Twitter, I want to note this. Anthony Scaramucci's company, Skybridge Capital, did make a pretty large investment in Vulcan Forged. Anthony Scaramucci is a pretty big name. He's known for making pretty strong investments. I'm not going to say he's a perfect investor, but he is known for catching things before they really take off. I'm just going to read here. Global investment firm Skybridge Capital led an $8 million Series A funding round for blockchain game studio Vulcan Forged, the firms have announced. The financing round also includes the option for a further $33 million investment, according to a press release from Skybridge. Vulcan Forged also confirmed the announcement via Twitter. This was back in September of 2022, but is probably the biggest name that has made a significant investment in the asset, which I'm not going to say that makes it super bullish. One investor is not enough to sway me or probably anyone else to just jump into an asset. But I thought it was noteworthy that there are some big names that are entering the space. All right, so let's take a brief look at Vulcan Forge's website and see what we can come up with as far as products that they're offering and what they're building in this particularly rough bear market. First of all, we can see about Vulcan Forged. Vulcan Forged is an established NFT, non-fungible token game studio, marketplace, and DApp incubator with 10 plus games, a 20,000 plus community, and top 5 NFT marketplace volume. You can see they are involved in a lot of things here. Vulcan Forged has Agora, which I'm not sure what that is. We'll have to figure that out. MyForge, Vulcan Dex has its own marketplace. Vulcan Forged Arena, Block Babies, Battle Chess, Berserk, Coddle Pets, and a lot of other things that they're working on, which we will look at on Twitter. It looks like there's a lot of cross-chain activity here. As far as NFTs are concerned, there's 114,371 active users of the chain and an advanced multi-feature NFT marketplace on Polygon, Binance, and VeChain that allow quick auctions, batch sales, and NFT trades for all Vulcan Forged games and partners, which I just learned that they are integrated with VeChain. I didn't even know that. So that gives Vulcan Forged a little bit more viability also with Asian markets because of how much Asian markets tend to enjoy accumulating VeChain. So here are a few of the games that Vulcan Forged is working on. We've got Vulcanverse, which is an MMORPG. It says it's an open world massive MMORPG with lore written by fighting fantasy authors. Players can truly own their assets in the form of NFTs, which is to be expected. Here we have Tartarus, an action survival game where hero player has to slay demons to gain XP. Kind of sounds like a Diablo type of thing. Berserk, a tactical, fast-paced card game utilizing NFT and non-NFT cards. Battle against other players, so there's multiplayer capability. Forged Arena, an auto battle strategy, battling hordes of minions. Not a lot of description on that one. We've got Battle Chess, which looks like a 3D version of chess. It says play a classic that's evolved from the check and red clashes that you've known, filled with volcanities animated wondrously on the board. Battle online with speed chess or with AI. And then there's multiple other ones here. We've got Vulcan Poker. We've got Tower Defense, which looks, kind of like a mobile game. Honestly, I have to check into that one. Vulcan Runner, which I have seen Vulcan Runner in action. It's kind of a fast-paced Crash Bandicoot type of deal, but I don't think there's actually enemies. I'll have to check into that, but it is kind of a quick reactionary type of game. Vulcan Assassins, which is a survival shooter, and Block Babies, which is a strategy card game that appears to be aimed at a younger audience, but I could be wrong about that. So one of the projects that really caught my attention out of all those games is Vulcanverse. So we're going to watch trailer number 1 that I found on YouTube that Vulcan Forged directly put up on the website. So I definitely got some WoW vibes from that one. I would say that the graphics are not super refined at this point. This is a relatively old trailer though, so it could be that they've made some improvements on that. I'm seeing some pixelation and some general just kind of blurriness in the graphics. I don't know if that's the quality of the video or if the project looks like that or if they made improvements on it since then, but I'm getting strong WoW vibes from that. There's a lot of gameplay videos actually on YouTube that you could go check out. I'm not going to play those because they're narrated by the person playing them, and I want to hear the game, not the person playing them. But if you feel so inclined to look at Vulcanverse for further info, feel free to look at YouTube and type Vulcanverse gameplay, and there's plenty of that to look at. All right, so the main thing besides investor confidence that has got me interested in Vulcan Forged is the amount of interaction they have with their community. Vulcan Forged is very, very active on Twitter, consistently posting almost every single day updates on what they're doing between their various projects. There's a lot of followers. Vulcan Forge currently has 123.7 thousand followers, which is pretty good for a relatively low market cap crypto project in the gaming space. You can scroll down here, you can see that Vulcan Forge recently had what they call a Vulcan 3 day, where they had people come out. It looks like they did a panel interview here with members of the team, and looks like they had a little dinner. So there's definitely building a community here on Vulcan Forged. Let's scroll down here and see what else we can find. This clip does not have any audio associated with it, but I did find a picture of an actual player playing the game, and it looks like building land. This is kind of the overhead view of Vulcanverse, not Tartarus. Well, there's some actually third-person up-close view. That looks pretty decent. That strafing does not look great. Could probably use some work on the strafing there, but hopefully that's a work in progress. See what else we have going on here. The forward running looks okay. Textures they're okay. I mean, it is a Web3 game, of course. This is not like a PlayStation 5 game or anything. Though there are qualities like that in other projects like Wilder World, which I'm sure I will definitely cover in another one of these altcoin videos, because I do believe in a Wilder World as well. Like some first person, just kind of looking around the environment. The water does not really have any running texture or anything. That is a little, that definitely needs to be improved on that water. That is not great there, but hopefully that's in the works. Like a bunch of layers of water that need to be blended together with motion to me. But the fact of the matter is Web3 gaming is brand new, right? Everybody's developing. There's really no active products right now. You can kind of play sandbox, but it's a horrible experience. So another thing to note here is it looks like Vulcan Forged is even getting into fantasy sports and even MMA in some capacity. Vulcan Fight League here is a thing. I would invite you to go read about that on Twitter as well, if that interests you. It just seems like Vulcan Forged is getting their hands in a lot of different things. I guess that's good to an extent, but I also would be concerned that they're trying to cast too many lines instead of focusing everything on a couple that are rock solid, but maybe their team is larger than I think it is. I'm not sure, but they are obviously receiving funding from big sources, so there's that. All right, so let's look at a little Vulcan Forged TA here. First thing to note is Vulcan Forged has not seen more than one cycle, so it's kind of difficult to judge where a bottom would be. In this particular instance, we can go all the way back here on this KuCoin data to May 24th, 2021, and kind of look from there to see where we are. In comparison, we're currently sitting at $3.21 per token. Back in that era, it did get down to roughly $1.40 per token at the bottom, but for now, I think it's worthwhile to kind of judge Vulcan Forged versus Total 3. Total 3 is currently in a big downtrend, so we'll take a look at that real quick. In previous videos in this series, we've looked at altcoins and how they could be potentially beneficial to your financial situation in the next bull run. And we're going through some solid picks that I do believe in. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to drop more from where they are now. While I do think that valuations are pretty attractive where they are, I don't think it's the bottom. I could be wrong. I'm not a financial advisor. I also can't predict the future. But I do have a lot of experience and information, so I do have somewhat of an idea as far as where I think this is going to go. For Vulcan Forged, looking at Total 3 here, you can see we're sitting at 328.5 billion on the Total 3 market cap, which correlates pretty well to the top of this movement here back in January 2018. Okay, so Bitcoin has just made a big move up, and eventually it's going to have to correct. We all know that when Bitcoin corrects, everything else corrects way more, and that would Total 3 especially, right? So if Bitcoin were to move up, I could definitely see Total 3 coming back down past this top to the next point of, really interest, which is the top of this move back here in April 2018. So if we just kind of draw a box here, and then we extend it to the top of this little liquidity zone right here that you can see where there was some sideways action, we're looking between a 35 to 48% drop in that zone, which if Vulcan Forged fell, it could fall 30%. And let's take a look and see what that would look like. So just grabbing our measurement tool from current price action down 30%, that would put Vulcan Forged around 222. And if we extended that down to 40%, which is totally feasible, that puts us down at the $1.90 to $2 area. A $2 Vulcan Forged is very attractive to me. I think that's a great place to start DCAing, and even maybe set a limit order down here just in case it were to go down and hit this $1.15 area. Maybe set some orders at $2, some orders at $1.50, and then some orders just above $1 because there's going to be a lot of orders sitting at $1. So you might want to front run that a little bit by 10 or 15% and just get in there around $1.15, $1.20, something like that. Just an idea. Again, not financial advice. It's just what I would be looking at, especially with this massive downtrend. Since the peak of Vulcan Forged price valuation against USDT at $49.18 back in November of 2021, there's been a retracement of 95%, actually outperformed ALTCOIN, which we looked at on another video in this channel. Surprised to see that, but that is what it is. It's still a 95% retracement, which falls in line with what we typically see in bear markets. So with the fact that Vulcan Forged is still building in the bear market and has a strong community, and also there have been some big investors like the ones we talked about earlier in this project, it's feasible to say that this could be a token that's a strong contender in the gaming and metaverse space during the next bull run. And that's the whole point of this altcoin series, is to kind of point out tokens that I personally believe are solid investments and kind of judging them on a risk to reward ratio. Obviously on a gaming and metaverse token that's dropped 95%, it's pretty high risk, right? It's not as high risk as you could go. It's not a meme coin. It's not a rank 3000 on CoinMarketCap meme coin or gaming token, or, it's not Gensler coin, but it's still relatively risky in the big scheme of things. Most people consider Bitcoin risky, so I can't even imagine what non-crypto users would think about Vulcan Forged. But anyway, the question is, well, where's it going to go? Thing is, I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to do the exact same thing that I always do for every token that we look at on this channel. We're going to do a reverse Fibonacci from here and assume that the bottom is in, even though it may not be. The bottom here at, say, 250. Okay, so if the bottom was in right now, we have an all-time high around, just call it $50. It was 49, and clearly people wanted to sell and get out of their liquidity before $50, which was pretty smart. We'll just call it 50 bucks. The 1618 sitting here at $77. We'll call that 75 bucks. And the 2618 sitting here at 124. We'll call it 125 bucks. Again, this looks a lot like Filecoin to me, and you'll see some resemblances in where I think it's going to fall is between the 1618 and 2618, given that it has a big run and catches a bid from institutional and retail investors. Right, so sitting at 319 currently, if you just put your allocation into Filecoin today, back to all-time highs, that is a 14x. Back to the 1618 and above, that's 22x or 23x. To the 2618, that's 37x. And to a nice big even number, which is what I like to go by, $100, that's a 30x. $100 and 30x, there's a nice synergy there. But again, it's very speculative. In no way am I saying that's what's going to happen. But from a psychology perspective and from a market perspective, if something like this were to catch a bid, there could be a lot of retail rushing into this kind of thing when they see it going up, like Pepe, for example. Now, just looking at this for the first time in a while, I see something right off the bat that leads me to believe that there could potentially be more downside for Vulcan Forged, and that's welcome, to be honest with you. I would be happy to see a lower price Vulcan Forged. But look at this right here. There's a very clear level of downtrending resistance here, lower highs. And then we also have a relatively flat bottom forming a bearish, kind of a bearish pennant here. Typically, whenever something goes like this, the more it clangs around, this direction that it's going down and to the right is typically the stronger direction. That doesn't mean that it always is. It could easily do something like this, where Vulcan Forged catches a bid, or Bitcoin catches a bid and brings Vulcan Forged up with it. It comes back up here, tests this thing, maybe comes back down, maybe goes sideways for a little bit, breaks through, retests, and then off to up here where you can see there's clear resistance in this area here at 850. That looks like a big liquidity area to me. So you never know. If I wanted to play it safe, the first thing I would do is wait to see what happens with this triangle. And if it does break through and retest the triangle, then that may be an opportunity to go long or even start DCAing in. But again, I would be very, very careful until around the Bitcoin halving. Between March and May of 2024 is where I'm really looking to make some decisions on everything that isn't Bitcoin. I did go ahead and run an FRVP and also put on the bull market support band for this asset. And you can see it has bounced off the bull market support band and is using it as resistance currently, which does tend to indicate that there's going to be further downside. Also, the main liquidity zone here is at 359, which we are currently below. And you can see there's kind of a little bit of a topping tail here on this current weekly candle. It doesn't look super bullish right now. It really does not. And I could definitely see some more downside for the asset, especially down to like the 270 area. And I think that maybe that's a good place to start DCAing in. But if Bitcoin, really does a big correction here, or it catches a bid and then does a big correction, these things are just going to continue to bleed against Bitcoin. I'm doing these videos for informational purposes for the future. So my plan is to start looking at this a year from now, or 6 to 8 months from now, or whatever. But we're looking at this in advance to identify tokens that could be strong contenders in the next bull run. So hopefully you learned a little bit about this gaming and metaverse project that has some good promise to it. Again, something to look at for the future, and hopefully it does perform well in the next bull run. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and leave me a comment below. I love interacting with you all, and I love trying to build a community, so please give me that feedback, help me get in the algorithm, and we will see you in the next video. Safe trading.